Guys, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Obviously, before we get started, if you're joining us from the Facebook group, what have you, we'd like to get everybody over to the YouTube channel. Not right now. Don't pause your video right now, but we'd love to get you over to the YouTube channel, get you to like and subscribe and do all that good stuff. All right, so today we are talking about we're going to talk to Mr. Damon Remy today, and the title of our little broadcast here is how to incorporate the multi-offer strategy in your real estate investing business to buy more deals. I had a huge long title, like this big long title. I mean, there's so many things that this thing does. It's crazy. So I just had this huge long title that was restricted. I think so. We're out on Twitter right now. We're out on LinkedIn, and they restrict it to 75. But I just wanted to just blast it out there, just because this thing is super powerful, man. It's such a great tool. We've been doing this for years, just long form, just like. So we'll get into that, but first, everyone, big round of applause for Mr. Damon Remy. Thanks for joining me, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me, man. I think I know that I think that you have a little bit of love for the MOG just because it's from Andy Wright, and it really was his brainchild. And I know you have a big man crush on Andy Wright, and as does he you. So yeah,
Andy's my guy. I'm going out in December to see Mr. Andy Wright. He invited. I'm finally. I don't know. It's been a couple years. He invited us out, and we've kind of just been putting it off, and finally I just said, you know what, we got to make this happen. So we're going to go out and see him in December, and stay in his Airbnb out there in Flagstaff. So we're excited about it. But I love that dude. I mean, that guy. He's the polar. I won't say polar opposite of me. We're both strategic thinkers, but he's a numbers dude. Like he's much more risk averse than I am. Like I'm willing to just, I kind of jump and hope that my parachute opens. He's the type of dude that he needed a tool like this so that he could quickly and easily. He has to have the numbers.
So let's tell them, folks that are watching, who the hell Andy Wright is and what. I'll give you guys just a little backdrop story on this. So I find it interesting that Jeff says he and Andy are polar opposites. They're polar opposites in a couple of areas, but they're so similar in a dozen other ways, right? Which is why they get along so well. So both Jeff and Andy, they've been part of a mastermind group that I've been running I've been running that group for probably 5 years plus. Andy's one of the smartest dudes on the planet, as is Jeff. I mean, I highly respect both these guys. Very, very intelligent, smart investors. They don't just sit around and talk about it and theorize. They go put it into action. But every meeting that we do, we try to get together once a quarter, and every quarter we get together and we do what we call a hot seat. And we always ask that you bring something of value to the group. And our favorite Andy Wright, he comes in and he presents this daggum spreadsheet because Andy is crazy analytical. He's actually a computer programmer by trade. That's what he was doing in his W-2 job for 20 plus years. Just super bright dude. And his give was this amazing spreadsheet that calculated all of the multiple different offer strategies with ease and with confidence, right? So because Andy needed to know the details of every offer before he would put it out there. And and he was doing it, but it was taking him, he said it was taking him probably 3 to 4 hours just to put together a damn offer with the multiple offers. And so he said, you know what, there's got to be a better way. And he went out and he wrote a spreadsheet and he gave it to us. And I took it and I said, Andy, I think this is amazing. I said, but I'm a computer guy and I can tell you right now, man, the Excel spreadsheet that you built is really complicated. And don't get me wrong, it is a complicated task. I said, I think that we can make this easier. And so that's what we did. We added it into REI Blackbook. So the multi-offer generator, it's an add-on right inside of REI Blackbook. We'll talk about that. But really what I want to get, even before we get there, guys, is I want you guys, everybody to understand the importance of the strategy, right? What's the benefit of using a tool like the multi-offer generator? I can tell you right now that Andy increased his offer acceptance rate by over 300%. So just that alone, right? With a tool like this, and really it's a strategy. With a strategy, right? The tool's going to make the strategy easier, but really it's the strategy. And I saw, Jeff, I saw your post in your group and I was like, dude, we should do an MOG video because the results we've been seeing of the folks using this strategy, it's pretty phenomenal. Plus, I think it's like going to be like, this is going to be like gangbusters to be offering those multi-offer strategies in the next probably, 4, 5, 10 years. What are your thoughts on the market right now and where that's going to be for the next however long? What do you think?
Well, I mean, the flavor of the day really is, everyone's hearing about creative offers these days, and everyone's, it's for us, it's been this way since day one. Like, we have not wavered from making creative offers, but now we're looking at interest rates. Obviously, interest rates have been bumped up. We're averaging like 6% on average right now, some higher. So I think right now it's super hard for people to go out and get bank financing on rental properties or investment properties, fix or flip, whatever. It's super tough to go out and swallow that pill and be willing to get a loan for that. So everybody's looking towards this creative solution, and so yeah, I think that's why it's so wildly popular right now. And again, I just say
I think the market's going to dictate. And I love what you said, man. I know, dude, I've known your business for a long time. I know that you've been doing this, and my background's a mortgage guy, right? So I was a mortgage guy even before I got into real estate investing and software and all that stuff. But the market's going to make it tougher to cash flow, and so this is definitely kind of starting to gain traction. You're going to hear a lot of, the gurus, if you will, start talking about creative financing. In fact, you're already starting to hear it. But the cool thing is, like Jeff said, man, we've been doing this for years, man. I mean, this really is stuff that we teach and preach. But what the heck is it in the first place, right? At the end of the day, I want you guys to realize it's a strategy that makes the difference. And the MOG inside of REI Blackbook is just a tool to help you automate and streamline, the strategy. Okay. That's really what we're talking about. There's a ton of benefits from the strategy. I mean, I think for one, the first thing that you're doing is you're giving the seller the power of the perception of control, right? So now all of a sudden you're saying, hey, Mr. Seller, which option would you like? So now all of a sudden they feel like they're in the driver's seat, but they get to make one of the choices, right? Because you're going to put multiple offers in front of them, and now all of a sudden they feel like they have the power. And it's perception of power. Why is it perception of power or perception of control? It's because, quite frankly, look, you structured the deals. So it doesn't matter if they pick 1, 2, or 3, you're a winner, right? So long as you structure them correctly up front, right? So let's just get in, man, if you don't mind. I
do want to mention one more thing. So for us, we always preach, this is all about speed, really, for me. For our business and for our coaching students, this is all about speed. If you're going to do what we did in the past, and you're going to make multiple offers, but you're going to try and you're going to have to go in and plug all that stuff in manually. And I mean, it's speed. It is all about speed. If I could, you said it before, Andy would spend 3-4 hours trying to come up with these offers. I mean,
3 or 4 hours. Not to mention, man, like I was thinking about this today. I'm about to do I'm going to do a keynote presentation for OREA coming up. And I'm actually was putting together the presentation together this morning, and it's all about systems. And it's like, man, why do you have systems in place? Well, first of all, efficiency, right? How do you save time? So speed, right? How do you reduce errors, right? Because I mean, if you're out there trying to manually calculate these offers and everything else, there is so much freaking details. I can tell you, it took us, after we got Andy's spreadsheet and we had a shortcut, goodness, man, it still took us 9 months to program all the damn formulas and codes and everything else, man. It ain't too easy, but yeah, it'll save you a ton of time. So
yeah. Let's, if you don't mind, let's just jump into this thing. Let's take a look at it and have you walk us through.
All right. So first and foremost, guys, this is it's an add-on module inside of REI Blackbook, right? So I'm sure Jeff could give you guys a free trial to REI Blackbook. He could make that happen if you guys are not REI Blackbook subscribers. But if you are an REI Blackbook subscriber, you can add this right onto your account. And here's the really cool part, right? It's built in, so all of the contacts, all the existing property flow, all the intelligence of REI Blackbook is already kind of baked into this thing. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to click on deals, and we just call this our multi-offer generator, right? So right here is the multi-offer generator. You can see I've got multiple properties in here. But I'm going to go take a look at this one here. You've got this owner named Jeff Kaufman over here at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And before I jump in here, well, you know what? I'm just going to jump in. You guys can kind of see. All right. So let's click on this. All right. The first thing it's going to do, just the basic layout. We've got a left-hand navigation window over here, right? And then basically the right hand, the right pane is going to give us all the information, right? So what's the property details? What's the financial details of the deal? And then are there any seller details, any contact details, so that we can easily automate calls and follow up, and actually even electronically submit the offer to the contact, right? I'm going to show you guys how to do that and trigger an entire sequence of follow-up whenever you make and submit this offer, okay? So in this particular deal, we're looking at asking price of $100,000, fair market value, so today's fair market value is $100,000. After repair value is $200,000. Guys, I'm just using super round numbers, so it's super easy math. Annual taxes of $2,400, annual insurance $1,200, and I just put zero closing costs, zero referral fees. I could get about $1,500 market rent, utilities, HOA. I just ignored all of that. Now you're also going to see here that I'm assuming that this property at the moment does not have a mortgage. So this would be, all right, Jeff owns 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. He owns this property free and clear. Okay. Now, if he owns it free and clear, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Right? We're going to come over here, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start looking at all of the different acquisition strategies. So whenever we start talking about multi-offers, then this is what we mean. Do we want to make an all-cash offer? Do we want to do seller financing where Jeff would give me an amortized loan? Would Jeff give me an interest-only loan? Right? So I'm going to go buy this from Jeff. Would he give me an interest-only loan? Would he do equal payments? Now, if he had a mortgage, we could figure out subject to, and I'm going to show you how to do that. It's pretty cool. We could do lease options, even equity share. An equity share might be, hey, Jeff, man, this deal might be a little tight. So how about we do an equity share? I'll give you a percentage of the profits, or traditional bank financing. Okay. So that's really what we're looking at. All right. Start talking about acquisition strategies. So whenever I click on one of these acquisition strategies, you're going to see a couple things come up. All right. So the first thing is, all right, what is my purchase price? So I'm going to come in here and put 70% of asking. And so the asking price was 100. So it's just going to come in and tell me real quick, hey, it's $70,000. All right. Pretty straightforward so far. Right. So in this scenario, my purchase price is going to be $70,000. If you remember, I put closing costs, referral fees. I put all that to zero for easy math right now. Okay. Now I've got a couple of options. If I'm going to purchase this all cash, I don't have to use my money. Of course, I could actually come in, and this is going to be really important to actually analyze on the disposition, how much money I actually make on the deal. Okay. Because again, once we structure these deals, not only is it the acquisition structure, we need to go in and evaluate the disposition so that we can make sure no matter what option they choose, we're still going to win. We're still going to make money. Okay. And so if I'm borrowing money, I can come in and I can quickly say, okay, fine. I'm going to borrow 100%. And we're going to do interest only. And again, I'm going to easy route here. No points, no loan costs, and 8%. Okay. So now all of a sudden it's like, say, okay, so now I have no money in the deal. I'm buying for $70,000, right? And I'm actually going to go borrow that $70,000, and I'm going to pay 8% at a 30-year amortization, right? When the amortization doesn't really matter unless I'm doing a fully amortized. Okay. But I can quickly come in and calculate that, and you can see that changes my payment. So that's going to be really important later when we start calculating our profits, because we need to know how much money, what's it going to cost to borrow that money, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and put that back to interest only, and there we go. Okay, so that's scenario one, right? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now, if we want to go look at amortized, now all this is really saying is like, I'm going to go to Jeff. I'm going to say, hey, Jeff, this is I'd love to give you your asking price, but the truth of it is, I need if you can, I can give you, it's real simple. And I apologize, a little tongue tied here. It's always really simple, right? It's like, hey, look, I'll give you your price, but it's got to be on my terms, Jeff. Jeff, can you take payments over time, right? What if I gave you $100,000 today? What are you going to use that money for? Are you going to pay taxes on it and all that other stuff, right? There's a ton of ways. And Jeff is the master at teaching you guys the scripts and the conversations around how to have that conversation. But at the end of the day, I'm going to come to Jeff and say, Jeff, I'll give you your asking price. In fact, I'm going to give you your asking price, but it's going to be over time. But here's the cool thing, Jeff. I'll actually even, for you being the bank, Jeff, I'll even give you some interest. So you're going to earn even more for that property. So really, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay you 3.5% interest. I'm going to give you $5,000 today, and we're going to do a 30-year amortization. But Jeff, I'll have you paid off fully in 5 years. I'll have you paid off fully in 5 years. And so what that does, guys, it just breaks down right here. It says, look, what's my cash to close? My cash to close is $5,000. Remember, I zeroed out my closing costs and all that other stuff, right? So now it says, okay, well, Damon's got to bring $5,000 on this deal, but Jeff is then going to loan me the rest of the money. And so the terms for the remaining balance, seller will hold a $95,000 note at 3.5%. Monthly payments to Jeff will be $427 with the remainder of balance due in a maximum of 5 years. So what's really cool is this section right here is just previewing the offer that we're going to put together with the offer letter. All right. Now, Jeff could quickly come in and say, so Jeff, out of these, what would you like? I mean, if you're going to negotiate as the bank here, what would you like? What would you counter here?
Well, I would think that, interest rates have gone up a little bit here, Damon. So I would like to at least compete with a bank. How about that? How about 6%?
All right. So fine. We're going to go ahead and pay Jeff 6%. And so instantly, as soon as I do that, right, it's going to calculate, come up here. It's going to say, okay, my monthly payment to Jeff is going to be $569.57. Again, same thing, maximum due in 5 years. So basically, it's just going to auto update that. All right. It's going to auto update. And that's going to be really important because auto updates the letter, but we're going to use those calculations on the back end to see if we're making money on this deal. Because that's going to be really the important part, right? It's going to be depending upon how I'm going to exit this deal. How am I going to sell this deal? And will that 6%, will I be able to make money at 6% interest? Okay. So now I can come over here and say, hey, Jeff, you know what? I love that. In fact, I got one other option here. How about an interest only where I'm still going to give you the $5,000 and, now what's going to work out here in your favor, Jeff, is you're probably going to make a little bit more money over the long haul if we can get this interest only, right? So you're going to make a little bit more money if I can make interest only payments. And what's that going to do for Damon? Well, it's going to help my cash flow, right? So I'm going to only make interest only payments. So it's pretty self-explanatory, guys. You just come in here and all we're doing is we're just plugging in the numbers to say, okay, what would really work for me? I'm gonna do one other option here. I'm gonna come in here because this is actually one of our favorites because this is actually 0% interest, right? So I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna say, hey, look, Jeff.
Wait a minute. We gotta. Yep. What does Andy call this?
You tell me. What's the term for it?
This is the white whale. The white whale.
Yeah. You're right.
I don't know if that's supposed to be an inside thing, but it's the white whale.
No. Awesome. And the reason he calls it his white whale is because whenever it happens, this is like the best case scenario because you're basically the cost of that money. It's going to save you a ton of dough in the long run, right?
Yeah.
And the really cool thing of it is I can come in here and I can set my monthly payment. So basically, what this is saying is, hey, Jeff, look, I'm going to give you $120,000, right, for the property. So I'm going to buy it for $120,000. I'll go ahead and give you $12,000 today. But you know what? I'm only going to make $300 a month payments. Jeff, don't worry. You're still going to make $120,000 on this deal. Okay. And I'm going to pay you off fully in 2 years. Okay. Again, plug in all the numbers, everything updates. Now it tells me exactly how much cash I need to bring to the table to close this, which is $12,000. Okay. So the last thing we're going to show you, or not the last thing, the next thing I want to show you really.
Well, wait a minute. I want to point this out real quick. You're a techie dude. You're kind of geeking out. I want to on this particular screen. Take a look at the purchase price. Look at what you've been able to do here. You've been able to take a property that the seller I'm the seller. I originally wanted $100,000 for this property. Damon is now offering me $20,000 over that amount. Right now, that seems like I'm winning on the surface, but Damon's structuring this in a way that in the long run is going to really, really benefit him because he's not paying me any interest on this.
And the truth of it is what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to structure it so yes, it really is a win-win. I want you to win, Jeff, and I'm going to give you the ability to pick a winning. And that's why we've seen Andy. And this is the really important part, guys. I want you guys to understand this. Andy went from closing out of 100 leads that called him, he would close 3 deals. Now, out of 100 leads that calls him, he's closing 10 deals. Why is he closing 10 deals? Because he's giving his sellers more options and more control. And it's not always just a one-trick pony of, hey, I can pay you $70,000 cash, right? And I know you guys know that power of that already. You wouldn't be, following Jeff if you didn't know the power of that. But that really is, it's a dramatic difference in your offer acceptance rate whenever you can use this strategy. Now, there's one other thing that we do. We also add an MLS comparison because I want to tell Jeff is like, hey, look, man, you know what? If you put about 10 grand into this thing, if you put about $10,000 into this, you could probably just go sell it on the MLS right now for $100,000. Okay. And honestly, let's be realistic. That's construction prices today. You're probably talking $20,000, right? So Jeff, you could go sell this daggum thing right now on the MLS, right? You probably have to put $20,000 in this thing, rehab it. You're probably going to have some seller concessions. So at that price point, especially now, buyers are going to start asking for concessions. Your listing commission, you probably won't sell it for 100%. Average in St. Louis right now is about 96% list to sell percentage. So all that means is you'll probably sell it for about $96,000 instead of 100. And so we're going to show them how much they would actually net on if they went and just listed it with an agent. Now we click these little on and off buttons if we just want to add this to the letter. So here's the really cool thing. I come down here and bam, the offer letter is generated, right? So it starts showing me all the options, right? Here's option 1 is all cash. Option 2 is a seller carry amortized. And we're really showing a couple of things. What we're emphasizing is what Jeff can make, right? Now, I will do what we as investors, we look at this and we're always like, well, why wouldn't Jeff pick seller carry interest only? It's going to make him the most money. And we assume that that's what Jeff is going to do. I can tell you right now, without a doubt, so many times we see them come in and say, oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take that all cash offer. What? Like, stop assuming. First of all, that's the biggest mistake is whenever you assume what the seller wants and what they're going to pick. This is the power of being able to, and we've seen it time and time again. Jeff, I'm sure you've seen this multiple times where you think they're going to go this way and we had all this report. I thought you were telling me the truth the whole time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. Sometimes that's, sometimes I might not even be prepared for the all cash thing. Now I got to go out and find money and stuff. I would really just, I'm a creative dude, so I would much rather have the seller carry.
So here we go, Jeff. Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
We're going to turn off that option. And now we're going to go back to our offer letter. And here's Jeff's offer letter.
Awesome.
Right? Because Jeff doesn't even want to give him the all cash offer, right? Because that's not his world. He doesn't want to have to go wholesale it or figure out how to get the cash or do any of that stuff. And so, bam,
Yep.
And now we've got this figured out. It's like, okay, offer letter looks good. But honestly, we have no idea. If this is all you're doing is structuring the acquisition piece without going in and now doing all the right math on the dispositions piece, you are freaking playing Russian roulette. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to get in and say, okay, what are my disposition strategies? Well, what we love to do, because we like cash flow, is selling on terms. Could we sell this property on terms, right? Could we flip it? Sure, we could flip it. Or could we actually rent it, right? I'm going to focus on the seller financing for this demonstration just because it's our favorite, and the other two are pretty simple at the end of the day. So now we're going to come in and say, all right, let's go ahead and analyze our disposition. So I'm just going to be, dramatic for the demonstration purposes. I'm going to say that we're going to sell this property for $200,000. We're going to ask $20,000 buyer down payment. Okay, so the buyer down payment of $20,000, which means we're going to have a note from our new buyer. So now Damon's going to be the bank for the new buyer, and I'm going to have a note of $180,000. Now, for ease of this, I'm just saying no money for rehab. And now we can calculate, and we break this up into, there's a couple of like secret strategies. And I don't know if Jeff, if you really talked to your tribe about this yet, but
It's
there's some pretty,
it's on its way. It's on its
there's
way.
some pretty cool stuff. I'm not gonna jump the shark here. I'm just telling you guys, there's some really cool stuff you can do to plug it into a first and second. But for this, we're just gonna say, hey, look, I'm gonna do one note at 180,000, which would be a 90% LTV, 30 years, 9.75%, fully amortized, and I'm expecting them to pay me off or refinance within 10 years. And I need to make some assumption so I can make the proper calculations. And again, I'm just plugging in zero closing cost here. And, you know, we can come in here and it basically will calculate the buyer's total monthly payment, which, you know, needs to be within rents or maybe a little above right now, but it needs to be close to that rental payment, right?
Yep.
So now let's come in, and what we've just done is we said, look, I'm going to amortize this, interest only, equal payments. Jeff is going to pick one of those, but I got to make sure if I'm going to sell this thing on terms, here's the terms I'm selling it on. Now I got to make sure. So I'm going to click on my seller financing analysis and calculate all of the returns. And there's three ways that we get paid, right? It's cash now, cash flow, or cash later, right? So cash now, cash flow, or cash later. And here's the really cool thing. On this amortized, you can see now I'm going to get $20,000 cash now. Cash flow, I'm going to get $117,000 cash later. So 10 years down the road, my new buyer refinances or sells the property. I'm going to get a payday of $84,000. And what it's projecting that is October of 2032. Because we said, hey, look, what would this look like in 10 years? My interest only. All right. Looks like I'm making just a little bit more. And then those equal payments. Look at this. My total earnings over here is $219,000. So it's really interesting how we kind of can structure this. And now all of a sudden we're talking about ROI is through the roof, but it's giving me my cash flow, my cap rate, my loan constant, my spread, my debt coverage ratios, my break-even ratios. Everything is calculated. If I want more details, I can do a side-by-side detailed analysis, and it actually shows me the detail breakdown. And look, everything looks good. Those are all green. So that means that I can put this offer together. And how long did that take us, Jeff? I mean, heck, we haven't even been on this call that long.
Was that 10 minutes maybe?
Yeah, something, right? So guys, I want you guys to understand the power of what we just did. I can now put that offer in Jeff's hands with confidence, right? I can put that offer in his hands with confidence. Now, here's the really cool part. So I put that letter in Jeff's hands, and he calls me back and he says, man, that equal payment, man, that sounds really, really good. But man, I need $500 a month. Okay, Jeff, cool. $500. And he's like, you know what? I need to be paid off in 18 months. Okay. All right, cool. Let's go take a look at that. What does that do? So now let's come over here and click on the seller financing analysis. All right. Look at my details. Okay. What did that just do? My total potential earnings down to 197. But I want you guys to understand this straight up. Like, look, most folks in real estate today, like, are you really structuring deals so you're making 197 grand, right? Would I take that if Jeff can said, all right, yeah, hey, this is what I need to do? Well, look at my cap rate, my loan constant, my spread, my ROI, my total ROI, 162%. So Jeff, yes, we have a deal, right? Yeah. That's the cool thing about this is not only is it so powerful, it's going to put the offer in Jeff's hands, but when Jeff calls back and starts negotiating, I can come right back in and start twisting. You know, there's so many. The problem with this creative financing, guys, if you guys really understand what we just did, we are looking at multiple amortization schedules, multiple freaking variables, and we've just basically said, look, we're going to take all of that shit and make it super easy for you guys, so you can run all the what if analysis that you want. Okay. And there's a couple other cool things here. If I come over here to the offer letter, I can print it right here. I can print it, right? You know, other little cool tricks, right? We can change the headers, anything else, right? Signatures, but then we can come in and hit send. And if you guys understand the power of automation and workflow sequences, we email out that offer letter to them, and we can trigger a follow-up workflow, right? So I'm going to go ahead and trigger up this offer submitted. right? So I'm going to trigger this offer submitted, which what that's going to do is it's automatically going to send Jeff a text message. It's going to update the status of his contact record. It says, hey, we've got an offer submitted for Jeff. It's going to send him a text. Hey, it just launched over an email. Would you check it out? And then what it's going to do is it's going to keep following up, right? It's going to continue following up so that Jeff doesn't ghost us, right? I don't want Jeff ghosting me and not following up. And I don't want to forget about it. I don't want to slip through the cracks. I want to keep following up with Jeff, and we can build in that automated follow-up, right? All right. So that's pretty cool. That's powerful. But I want to add one other caveat to this thing, because this is like crazy powerful. Okay. So now what if Jeff has a mortgage? Let's add some complexity to this. So just one more amortization schedule. So I can come in here and say, all right, Jeff bought this place, and he borrowed $70,000 for it. We can calculate his terms. And here's actually a little secret, right? Hit this little calculator button up here. I love this. This is solve for X. So I'm going to say that, look, Jeff borrowed $70,000. He borrowed it for 30 years. And he knew his monthly payment, right? He knows his principal and interest payment, it's $561. And, he knows that it started way back on January of 2015. But he doesn't know his interest rate. So we're just going to come in here and hit calculate, and it's going to automatically calculate his interest rate. So now I can see it's at 8.9%. Okay. Now, here's the thing I want you guys to understand. This is so freaking powerful. All right. The power of amortization. All right. And I know I'm geeking out on this stuff, man, but if you guys get this stuff, here's the thing, guys. Of that $561, his current only $76 of that is going to principal. So I can see that based upon whenever he took that date out. So that's what that's going to show me really quick. Okay. You guys know how amortization works, right? On month one, you're paying all interest. So that $561 is all going to the bank. Okay. You want to start talking about powerful deals. Let's start talking about some folks that maybe bought their house in 2004, 2003, right? And they still got the mortgage. Okay. Let's calculate that out. Boom. Now I can see $204 of that is going to principal. And guess who's the principal now? Me, because that's paying down equity, guys. That's $200 of that payment that is actually paying off equity instead of interest. So the power of amortization, if you guys aren't paying attention to this, I got to tell you, you're probably missing out. So we're going to go ahead. I've got the numbers now. It's 8.9, 561. So we're going to go ahead and say, all right, fine. He's paying 8.9. He's paying $561. And I forgot to look at the current balance, but we'll just put in $56,000. And that's a 30-year term. Okay. Now I want you guys to understand, I'm going to Jeff. His asking price is still $100,000. He owes $56,000. His monthly payment's $561. He's got an 8.9% interest rate, but he originated that. We could go all the way back here, right? So I'm going to cash flow better. Okay. So this is his details of the loan. So now what most folks think is okay, well, you got to do a straight subject to. So I'm going to come in and take over the mortgage. So Jeff, if this property is worth $100,000 today, fair market value, you owe $56,000 on it, would you just simply let me come in and take over payments?
I might do that. I might ask for some cash as well. But yeah, I might do that.
So again, I want to stress this: never assume, right? Never assume, right? So we don't know. I mean, Jeff may be in such a situation that he just wants to walk away from this headache. That may happen, and so going to come in here and if he wants a little bit of cash, we could say, fine, we'll still give you 70% of this thing. So now it comes in and says, okay, fine, we got to pay Jeff $14,000. And guess what? Jeff's potential earning is going to be $14,000, right? Because we're going to buy it for 70. So we're going to put a $14,000 down payment on this thing, right? But his owner mortgage balance, so he owes 56. So it's going to quickly calculate the subject to, right? Now, if I want to turn that on, I just turn it on. And if I want to go to my seller financing analysis, then I can look at this. Okay, this looks pretty good, right? Mm-hmm. Total earnings over here of 267. 1900, 1900% or 1,909 percentage on my return on investment, right? Looks pretty good. But the reality is Jeff may not do that deal, right? And, or maybe you don't have the $14,000. Maybe you don't have the $14,000. So what if I combined my subject to with either amortized interest only or equal payments? Well, guess what? Here's the cool thing. We just did that. It automatically, the math automatically happens and says, okay, what is my cash flow now that I've got to also pay? I also have to pay Bank of America. Now I got to pay Jeff because I'm basically going to finance. I'm going to finance to Jeff and I'm going to take over the payments for Bank of America. And I got to go see what that does to my seller financing. And you can see
that $14,000 that you have to pay me, you're looking at financing that as well.
Yep. And in this situation, look, here I'm saying, look, what I'm financing here, Jeff, to be clear, is I'm financing, since you owe 56, I'm still going to give you $100,000. So really I'm financing 46.
Yeah.
So to really make it equal,
14 cash. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So to make it equal, I would say, look, and in fact, we'll do this. We'll do 0% down payment, right? So now it's basically, I'm saying, hey, Jeff, I'm going to take over the mortgage payment. I'm going to give you $70,000 for the property today. I'm going to go ahead and take over the Bank of America payment, but I'm going to go ahead and pay you the difference between the 70 and the 56. So but man, would you take payments for that $14,000? And it calculates it and says, Jeff, guess what? That payment is $83.94 for the next 5 years. Right? That's really what we're doing. So, I mean, guys, it's crazy how powerful this thing is. That, like, how many of you guys would be able to structure a deal like that you could have bank financing in place? You're going to do a note with the freaking seller, and now you're going to go and sell it on terms. You're going to sell it on terms, and now you got to create another amortization schedule. And Jeff's going to show you guys some killer stuff where you break that note into one and second. All of a sudden, you got 5 amortization schedules to start calculating your cash flows, your returns, and everything else. I don't know how you do it without a tool like this. To be honest, Jeff, I really don't.
Yeah. I can tell you for sure that I've never put together a multiple offer deal with this many options, So another thing is, I don't know if people really understand when there's nobody else doing this. There's nobody on earth. Number one, I don't believe I'm gonna self-grandize here for a minute. I don't think there's anybody else on earth teaching this, really, not to this level. And then there's no other tool that I have ever. I still haven't seen anybody that can compete with this. I don't know about you, and I might just not be really up, up with the times. But
dude, I'm plugged in, bro. Nobody's doing this. Nobody's doing this piece right here. I'm telling you right now. And I want to show you like this piece right here, like all the changes that we just made, right? Mm-hmm. With, all right, now you got a mortgage, everything else, and it automatically comes in and calculates everything, automatically updates it and says, even the traditional MLS sale says, oh, guess what? You got a $56,000 mortgage payoff. Just calculates everything for you. It just does it super, super quick, man. So yeah, man, when I saw you make the post, I thought, dagummit, let's get in and talk about the MOG, man. So that's it, man. That's all I got.
Yeah,
I got questions and we can go from there.
No, I just want to reiterate. There's just no, if you don't have creative financing at least on your radar. I mean, I hesitate to say this because it's probably not true for some people, but I mean, the way that this economy is going right now and the way that things are looking right now, if you don't have this on your radar, I'm sorry, but you might be looking for a W-2, at some point in the next couple of years. It's a serious situation. It's nothing to shake a stick at. It's a serious situation. And if you don't start understanding these creative financing strategies that Damon's walking you through here, I mean, it's just, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be tough.
I can geek out and show you guys the tools, but you probably still need, somebody to help hold your hand a little bit, right? The coaching, what to say, how to structure. There's so much other stuff. Like, I know that we just kind of simplified it with like, hey, here's the offer letter. Cool. Now all the paperwork and all the other stuff that you have to do, right? There's still some more stuff to this, right? Which the cool thing that is once you do it, it really just becomes that much easier to repeat over and over and over again. Now really all you got to do is just go do a little bit of mental math to say, how many of these deals do you need, right? Let's go look what our cash flow is over here. So if I look at this, all right, my cash flow, literally guys, my cash flow, $900 a month, 790, 485, 985. And I'm telling you right now, this is legit stuff, right? Like, I mean, I've got probably 4 or 5 properties that look very similar to this on owner financing terms right now, or just straight up rentals. And if I wanted to say, you know, what if okay, cool. What are my rental terms? What does that look like, right? You know, how much am I going to hold back for monthly repairs? Okay. How much am I going to hold back for monthly repairs? What about, vacancy percentage? What am I going to hold back for my CapEx expenditures? Am I going to put property management in place, right? Am I going to do rehabs, right? So now all of a sudden I might have to rehab it to rent it, right? So now all of a sudden I probably have to put a little bit of money into this thing. Now what does my rental analysis look like? Okay, well, not quite as good. I've got some red indicators here. What is that? What's the problem? Where do I need to look? Okay. Well, my cap rate. Okay. My loan constant, my spread's not good. So I got some challenges on this deal. But the cool thing of it is I can just come in here and I can start tweaking and plugging away. What needs to change on my offer to get it in the green, right? To make this thing a rental. And that's what I would encourage you to do, by the way, too, is make sure it fits multiple exit strategies. Make sure it fits multiple exit strategies. Because I do think, there's no question the market's changing, guys. I've been doing this. I've been in the real estate space for over 2 decades now, which, makes me sound super old, which I guess I'm getting there. You're a couple days older than me, I think, right? Or 1 day or something like that.
Now you ruined it. Now you just ruined it.
Yeah. So I hear you giggling over there. But the market's changing. I've been through this stuff before. If you're wholesaling or you're flipping, even the BRRRR strategy right now, right? Yeah. I love that, to be honest. Getting all my cash back out of it now. I got no money in the deal. That's great. Until you go to the banks right now and figure out that you're not going to cash flow. So how do you take control and create your own economy? And that's really what we're talking about. And it's ultimately, being able to use the creative financing strategies. So
yeah,
that's all I got, Jeff.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I really love the last thing you said there is super powerful too. We get to, when you can structure a good creative deal, whether it's subject to some form of seller carry or a mix of all that kind of the stuff that Damon was showing you, you get to create your own little world, your own little economy. It's fantastic. We get to, we're not subject to the whims of the market so much. We're always going to have some, but we're not so, we're not so nailed down like a lot of, especially if you're going to be talking to a lender. But
you can turn off the news. You can turn off the news and not worry. You can just turn off the news and not worry, right? We can create our own damn economy. It's not going to matter who gets elected to office, what the freak they like. None of that's like, guys, take control of your situation and create your own economy. That's literally is what we're talking about. Doing this stuff, man. I mean, super powerful. And like, here's the crazy thing, guys. Like, our buddy Andy, all right, and I'm not going to disclose all of his financial details, right? But he's been in our group for a long time. He was making a healthy 6-figure W-2 income. I mean, he's a computer programmer, had been for 20 years. And I think it took him maybe 10, maybe 11 deals like this to replace that income. And now he's out bumming it and, hanging around, inviting Jeff to just hang out. And
now I get to go hang out with Andy. Now we're both in the same boat. It's awesome.
Yep.
So
Jeff, at the end of the day, I'll give everybody details because at the end of the day, everybody's probably like, okay, well, how does this thing work? You do have to be an REI Blackbook subscriber. Jeff can probably post links somewhere to give you a free trial account to REI Blackbook if you're not already. Okay, there's a ton of benefits and things like that. And then at the end of the day, you add, if you're an existing REI Blackbook subscriber, I think Jeff posted a link. You just click on that, guys. You can add it to your account. We'll throw in a couple of bonuses. I got some bonus workshops that I'll throw in for you guys. And reach out to my support team at any point in time, right? support@reiblackbook.com. Let them know you watch this webinar. We're happy to help you out. If you need a trial account, demo, hey, you got questions on this individually, I'm happy to address it for your tribe, Jeff.
Yep, I will attest. I will give you a testimonial right now. I guarantee you, there's no other provider out there that that provides this stuff for real estate investors that has the support that REI Blackbook does. It's fantastic. It's awesome. So
thank you, brother.
All right, man. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man.
Guys, hope you enjoyed it. Have a great afternoon, great weekend, all that good stuff, and appreciate it. We'll catch you guys later.
See you guys.